All right, guys, promised you another very special guest and our first introduction face to face and your introduction as well. Tiffany Woys with us today. Tiffany, we've got an EP, we got a new single to talk about, and life. That can take up a lot, can it?
That sure can. Mine sure can. That's recently.
Yeah, right. And tell the listeners a little bit about the new EP, about the new single "Took Back," and yeah, and introduce us to your kitty as well.
Yeah, that's Belle. Cinderella's upstairs.
There you go.
She's too much, but yeah, I have two Disney princesses in the house. Yeah, the EP. This is really different for me. So I've been in Nashville for about 7 years,
Hmm.
and everything I've ever released was never co-written or written by me. I was really a huge fan of the idea of coming to town, being pitched songs, and kind of being a vehicle for songs.
Hmm.
I'm still a believer in that because I think we're a community of really, really amazing songwriters. And I don't love the direction we're going with music where just a songwriter can't get their songs cut anymore because they got to be in the room with the artists now. So I still see a benefit to that. But what makes this project very special in comparison to the ones I've done before is I did co-write the majority of it. And that was never my intention when I moved to town. I was really unapologetically like okay with the fact that I wanted to be a vehicle for really good songs and songwriters. But my life took a really, really hard turn last year. And it really forced me into the songwriter seat, which I'm very, very grateful for because it was very cathartic and something that I think I needed. And maybe it was because I never really had anything to say as much as I do now.
Yeah.
I thought I did. I think we all kind of think we have this big life story to share, but obviously I didn't until now.
Mm.
And so being forced into this songwriter seat, I was like, oh, I'm not going to do this forever. I'm just going to do this now and then get out. And now I'm so excited when I have a write and something to do because I love now writing. It's something that I'm very passionate about. So yeah, this EP has 8 songs, 6 of which I co-wrote,
Hmm.
which I'm very proud of. And it all did stem from a very hard life lesson, which I was engaged. My fiance left 6 weeks before the wedding. And what I realized is just like everybody else, I turned to music for healing in the sense of listening to music. I realized there was nothing out there that I resonated with, nothing that was making me feel less alone. So that is why I was like, well, there's got to be more people like that, like me, out there that have gone through a broken engagement. And why is there no music out there about that? There's a ton of music about divorce, breakups, but there's nothing about engagements. So I said, let's do it. And that is where all of this music pretty much stemmed from. And there's some stuff that's happier, of course, on it
Right.
because I wanted this EP to tell a story. So I'm very, very conscious of the order in which I place my songs. I always have been. And this is why I get so mad with the way music is today, how you can cherry pick songs off of an album now and just purchase them and preview them versus having to purchase the whole album
Right.
and start from start to finish. And start to finish tells a story for me. So it's the idea of falling in love, being with somebody, then the kind of chaoticness of it, the breakup and the starting over. And that is where the EP kind of takes you on a story through the last few years of my life, really, because I was with this person for 5 years and in a mere moment, it all went away. So
Now for
yeah.
you, was the right originally? Was it more like journaling? Journaling, maybe?
You know what? Not at all, because I'm not a diary person. I'm not a journal person.
Hmm.
I don't have the patience to sit down and do that. I don't even read books. I have like I'm a podcast listener. That's kind of where my brain is able to go. So it was more about finding people that I love and trust where I can get in rooms and be vulnerable and share that story. I'm a really talkative person and I'll share my life with pretty much anybody. Actually, people have to probably get me to stop. When it comes to this and you know you're going to be releasing it to everybody, you want to do that as delicately and as respectfully as possible,
Hmm.
especially in a world right now where, again, I'm not against this idea of women who are putting out music about divorces and things like that. But I just don't, I want to be very delicate and careful about how I told my story because I take marriage very seriously. Not that anybody else doesn't, but I take vows very seriously. So I want to make sure I wasn't glorifying the breakup. I wanted to make sure that there was something in there that I did I did justice to my listeners when it came to that. So no, it wasn't journaling. It was me getting in rooms with people, and I'm an idea girl. I had a lot of things written in my iPhone notes about titles and ideas I wanted to touch on when it came to these songs. And some of them, the idea changed a bit because, by the way, I'm in the room with other people with other thoughts and opinions.
Right.
They can't necessarily get inside my head. They're doing the best they can, but I got to ebb and flow too with the other creatives in the room and kind of go on a journey with the writers, and see where the song ends. And a lot of those ended up on the project and some of them didn't. But this is the collection of songs that I felt really, really proud of when I got into the room with people and they understood where I was coming from.
That's cool. Now, what was it? What was it about this project that changed your writing outlook, if you will?
Um, I think a little was because there was nothing out there for me. So that proved that I finally needed to start using my voice. I also was really excited in the fact that I had started my own podcast not too long ago, and it's about interviewing songwriters in Nashville. And it was my way of trying to connect with the community that I never felt like I was a part of. Because Nashville, I mean, it's a big songwriter community, and you feel really on the outside if you're not in it. And I felt like an outsider for a really long time, kind of like the kid with the lunch that had to go sit in the bathroom instead of sitting with the crowd.
Mhm.
And so starting the podcast, I felt was me kind of trying to inch my way into the crowd a little bit, but it was really starting to write that now has made me feel like I could be a part of the crowd. And another thing that's inched me into the songwriter seat is I've never been able to participate in writers rounds in town. And if you are in Nashville, you know that that's kind of almost one of the few places you can perform. I'm a natural performer. I want to perform. This is what I came here to do. And it's very weird when you're here and you can't do that.
Right.
So now that I'm writing this music, I get to actually participate in all of these writer rounds and perform and do what I love to do. So not only did I get to put out something into the world that is meaningful that I can finally relate to, and I hope that other people now can, but also gets the opportunity for me to do what I love, which is perform and sing.
That's right. That's right. Now, moving forward, after now that the project is out there and available, what's it like to get the feedback from folks who have gone through the same stuff that haven't been able to touch it with music, like you mentioned?
Yeah, well, I think the main thing with feedback that I love so much, not just with the idea of being relatable, but even before that, when I first started releasing stuff out there, again, I've released music for the last 7 years and people like it, people don't like it. You're never going to impress everybody. That's fine. But because I send a lot of my songs out to radio, I get once a week, radio programmers who make little notes about the song, whether they're adding it or not. And this is the very first time nobody had anything negative to say.
How about that?
And that was really, first of all, I didn't know if I wanted to be offended first. Like, I was like, I'm getting a compliment. Why am I not? And I'm like, what? You didn't like all the other stuff I put out? But then I took a step back and I go, wait, but this is the first stuff that this is actually my voice. This is me writing. Maybe I'm not so bad at this. Like, maybe I'm actually meant to continue to write because the stuff I'm writing is the stuff that is actually resonating the most with people, which I shouldn't be shocked by. I always think we need to give more credit to listeners where credit is due, where I've always felt like I was being authentic in my other music, whether I wrote it or not. But now this is my true authenticity. And the fact that that is being received the most speaks louder than anything else. It's the fact that they're like, okay, we can actually tell this is you now. And that's a really, really cool feeling. And on top of that, with the relatability part, people who write me about, hey, I went through this too, or hey, my engagement got called off, or this happened to me. I've had a lot of that happen, and that felt not good in a sense because I never want to hear that that's happened to somebody. It's an awful, awful thing coming firsthand. But the fact that they were able to feel like they weren't alone, that's exactly why I've been writing this music, is because, and I compare it a lot to, not that the plots are the same, but I always go back to Ray Lynn's love triangle and why that did so well and resonated so well. It's because there has been no music before or since then that has talked about a broken home in that way and coming from a child's perspective. And do you know how much the world needed that song? Because the statistics of a broken home raise every day. And that song resonates with people because there's nothing out there like it. And that's kind of what I wanted a lot of this music to feel like, is finally you have something to latch onto.
And for you to get that personal connection with the music, and it makes that connection with the listeners even that much closer, isn't it, for you? Like you mentioned, the relatability factor in it.
Absolutely, because the realistic part of this business is you will not meet the majority of people who listen to your music, right? I mean, I would love to be able to meet everybody who supports me, but the idea of that is just romanticizing something that probably will never happen. So the idea of being able to feel like you know each other and share a shared experience, that's what music is all about. It's about unifying. So if I can even make someone feel like I'm not alone, the way music has done that for me and other people's songs have done that for me, then that's all I can ask for. And the point is we release music into the world. It's our stories, but the point is we're releasing music so you can attach your stories to it, so you can hear yourself in those songs. It's not ours anymore. They're our stories, but the point of us sharing them is so that you see yourself in them too. And the point is to feel less alone.
I know that different people take a song different ways. What's maybe the biggest surprise takeaway from one of your tracks that you've gotten from a listener?
I think sometimes the song "Took Back" that I'm mainly focused on, in the sense it's not the single out at radio right now, but it's the one mainly about the broken engagement. I think people can actually take it as a divorce if you really wanted to, because it's about taking a ring back. Um, but I will say I haven't had a ton of people who have, I don't, debated me on what a song meant or not meant. And so I think everyone's kind of getting, and a lot of songs I'm pretty good about keeping things open ended. So plot of my songs, I want you to be able easily to attach yourself to it too. If you make something so specific, it is really hard for a fan to attach themselves to something, because they can't see themselves in something if you get a little bit too specific. I think where I actually was struggled the most was in the writing process, when I would have an idea and I came in and the idea took a hard left and people misinterpreted me that way. So there's a song on the EP that originally was supposed to be a love letter to my heart, and basically me writing something to me. And instead it's still talking about my heart, and it's still talking about a girl and trying to follow her heart and trusting that intuition. But it definitely took a hard turn. And I love the way where it ended up, but it wasn't what I initially thought. So I almost think that listeners haven't been interpreting things differently as much as sometimes it's harder to get in the room with people and to interpret your feelings that way and try to have them come out the way you see them.
Mm. Now, for you, who are the songwriters when you get into the room that really make you feel like you got to bring your A game? I mean, who are the ones that truly inspire you, if you will?
Well, I don't want to say luckily, but since this is kind of my first stab at releasing music that I've been a co-writer on, I've been very lucky to be in rooms with friends and people that I could literally trust fall into like every day of the year and not even worry about it. So not only are they fabulous writers, they're genius, but they're also friends. So I didn't have this sense of nerves or like having to be on my A game at any point in time. It was always give us what you got, and we're going to do our best to help you navigate this next part of your career. And I've been very, very lucky for it. Now I have not yet been put in rooms with people. I mean, I've been able to interview almost every single, like, in my opinion, great writer so far in Nashville. I still have a running list of working on for my next season of my podcast, but I've been able to sit down with those people, and that's nerve-wracking enough, just sitting down with people who've written music that you have attached your life to. So I haven't been in rooms with them in the sense of writing music with them, which I think would be very intimidating. But now that I've actually been able to get to sit down on my own couch with them and talk with them for hours, I think I'm eliminating that wall, which I think my next step of going into rooms with other writers will feel a lot better, because I've actually been able to sit down and have vulnerable, like, friendship conversations with them about real things. And I think that's what helps a songwriter and an artist's communication in a room, is being able to feel comfortable and to feel like there's a friendship there. Because if you don't have that, it makes it a little difficult to get vulnerable with
Right.
people, for sure.
Right. Now we talked about the rough patch, and I like to talk about the folks that have helped us when we go through those rough patches, and because I think it's ultra important. We can't get through these times, I mean, by ourselves. And I know that all too well myself, because I'm a proud guy that goes through the hard times and tries to look inside. But who were the ones that had your back, that you were crying on their shoulder, that were telling you, you got this, girl? Who were the ones that you helped, that helped you, I should say?
I mean, it definitely varied. I will say there are some people that shocked me that weren't. So that was an eye opener as well. I think that you, through hard times, you see who's there for you and who's not there for you. It's when I really started actually going to therapy as well. And so that helped me quite a bit, because my world changed in mere moments. My family, of course, but they live, in California. They live across the United States, so that's a little bit difficult. Of course, they're always there to pick up my phone calls. I have a really good group of friends that have gotten smaller over the years, just because I care about the quality over the quantity these days when it comes to friends. I think if it's somebody you can't call at 3 a.m. because you're tired, bursted a hole in your tire on the freeway, then they're not probably that great of a friend. So, I mean, I did have a small circle there for me to really, really turn to. My manager, of all people, he was even at my house when this, ex of mine had to remove things from the house. And so, because I couldn't be there, it's one of those things where you don't want to be around when they're moving all their stuff out. That's just like not it. So I had a lot of people show up for me in that way, which is very uncomfortable for the other person too. Like, I felt bad for my manager. He's like, oh, it's weird for everybody, really. But I think when people saw what I was going through, it was really, really beautiful to see how people stepped up for me, even in uncomfortable moments, or people who had my back, or, because I'm the type of friend that if you do my friend wrong, you've done me wrong.
Right.
You've hurt me. So I'm loyal on that level. And I know it's hard for a lot of people to be loyal on that level, but what it really did teach me is I only want people around me that are also like me. And if you can't be like me like that, that's okay. Maybe you're a good friend for somebody else. You're just maybe not for me.
And how important was it for you to maybe put those boundaries and place that importance on yourself and your own wellness, if you will?
Yeah, like trying to contain my peace, like protect my peace. And I thought I was always good at that. That's what's crazy. I was like, oh, I've already set good boundaries. I'm good with my friends. I'm good with that. I realized how much I wasn't. And it really was easier than I thought it was going to be. And maybe that was therapy that also helped with that. But also, I think I just got so fed up and watching people just not do what I would do naturally. I think something snapped in me a little bit, where I just was like, and I didn't feel like I had to say something to someone directly. In my eyes, I don't think confrontation was needed. It was one of those things where naturally we will drift this way anyway. I just have to stop showing up. And I think silence is more powerful than anything half the time. And being confrontational and having to express all of your emotions, I don't think is always necessary. Sometimes I think it should have to go without being said. And if I have to say something to you, that might be a problem on itself. Now, I think people kind of combat me on that when they say, well, but you're speaking out about it publicly, like with music. And I battled with that too. I was like, if I keep saying silence sometimes is better than anything, absolutely. But this is my art. This is my job. And I think that if it can help somebody, then that's the whole reason of why I'm releasing it. And I was very delicate and very respectful in how I put this music out. And I was also very, conscious about what I wrote about and how I said it. There is no sticking the middle finger up to anybody in any of these songs. I'm not being derogatory. I'm not being rude. There's plenty of things I could have wanted to say to be petty myself, but it's not worth it. So this is more just my heart speaking from a very vulnerable place.
So my question is, how many songs that are vindictive have you written in your closet that you're not going to share?
I mean, we definitely have written some. I think for future projects, there will be some. I still don't go too far, but there are some that we keep writing because I think it's been 1 year since this happened, but I constantly go through motions of still healing through it. I think that I'm going to for a long time. It caused me to have a hard time opening up to the man I'm with now. It's been really hard. I've been cold. I've been shut out. I shut him out. I do a lot of things because like I was scared to get close again because I thought I knew somebody. I thought somebody had my best interest at heart. I thought they were going to protect me forever, and they didn't do that. So it is scary to do that again with somebody else, even though I'm a huge advocate of it. If you ask me anytime, any place, I'm always going to say, go for it. Wear your heart on your sleeve. That's the type of girl I've always been. So I did that with my own life. However, I need to take my advice as well when I treat other people because I feel like I've been a little ugh. But I will say the music is still I'm still writing about it. I'm still writing about everything I went through and I'm currently go through. And I think I will for a while. I don't think that will stop. But I don't think I'm gonna write anything that's too bad. I don't think I see that in me. That's just not how my mom raised me.
Now for you, the California country, I mean, it's kind of got its own genre and following as well. I mean, there's the Texas country. I mean, there's a lot of regional country, if you will. What's it like to have the following of the folks out in Cali, especially that support when you're away from home?
Absolutely. It's been wonderful. Now my music has totally evolved. It definitely started off with more pop country, which was
Hmm.
more my California roots, because Celine Dion is one of my biggest and most, I admire her more than anything. So my sound was definitely more pop country when I started.
Hmm.
Then it transitioned into country pop, where it leaned more country, a little bit of pop. Now I would say I'm like full 90s country, like late 90s, early millennium country, because that is really what I was raised with.
Right.
And Faith Hill, Martina McBride, Jody Messina, those are like the ones that I love the most. So my music has really evolved. So I've noticed my listeners have evolved as well in the sense of location and all of that. And country music in California, it's really weird. People think it doesn't exist that much, but I was born and raised in Sacramento, so
Hmm.
Northern California. There is a ton of it there. Maybe not in Los Angeles, Malibu, Orange County, but there is absolutely a ton in Northern California. And they love the real country.
Yep.
They also fight back on the California country stuff. But I think, regardless, genres and music, everything evolves constantly. You just have to evolve with it. You have to ebb and flow with it. You see a lot of pushback. I love watching the melting pot, throwing things in and seeing what comes out of it. I think we've gotten some really good music out of it, but I always like to remain true to the fact that you have to respect where country has been and you have to pay ode to that. And I want to make sure that I do that with my music. I don't want to just go full throttle, like watch me be pop. That's not what I want to do. And I think California country people also respect that. Like I mean, John Party came from around where I was at, and that man, it couldn't be more country, right? And they love it. They love it. So I think there is a lot of misconceptions on the idea of what California country people look for and what they want to hear in music. But I've had a lot of good responses from my hometown. I before I moved to Nashville, I put a band together and I toured all of the West Coast, and that was really fun because I really got to start in my home base and where I knew I was going to be accepted and felt comfortable. It was actually moving to Nashville that I felt really nervous because I don't necessarily know if like Californians are super accepted all of the time. You know, like
Right.
people still look at me like I'm crazy when people ask me like my influences or people that I love, that my answers aren't Dolly Parton and Tammy Wynette and Loretta Lynn. Instead, I say people like Celine Dion, Michael Jackson, Michael Bolton. People
Yeah.
go, "What?" Like I'm crazy, and it doesn't mean I'm trying to like symbolize my music off of them. They're just who I really idolize in the music industry in the sense of their hard work ethic, the passion, the product. Like that is what if you're asking me country music people that I love, that I idolize, like I said, Faith Hill, Martina McBride, Carrie Underwood, Jody Messina, Lady A, sorry, like that kind of stuff, like that's the stuff that I love in country music. Leanne Rhymes, but I think California is really coming around to all the country stuff, and I think Nashville's doing a good job at accepting the California now.
Right. Now, what's the biggest difference that you see in Tiffany today as opposed to the newbie that came into Nashville. What differences do you see in yourself looking back at young Tiffany?
More patience. Tiffany in 2017 thought she was going to release one single and it was going to like pop off. And what's funny is my first single, it was co-written by Mickey Guyton. So I thought too, like that was going to be great, you know, and it did get to Radio Disney Country. And I think it charted, like it went up to number 14, which is huge for me. I'm a Disney fanatic. So I go, this is it. Oh my gosh. And 7 years later, here we are. And I'm still kind of grinding at it. And that's what, you know, Tiffany today really has learned from Tiffany then, is a lot of patience. And that's what I would tell Tiffany then, is that like, you're going to be doing this for a while. And they said that to me, right? And I was just like, yeah, right, it's going to be fine. And it really did take a lot of more life experience that I thought I had that I didn't have. And being in my 30s now, it really does take a lot of time. It does take time. And going through things like I thought I did that I didn't, and really having to go through real life and a move all on my own where I didn't have anybody with me, making all new friends, going through the heartbreaks that I went through, the friend transitions. I mean, everything kind of all adds up from starry-eyed Tiffany at, 27 that moved here, and now 33 Tiffany, almost 34, and being like, whoa, like this is, and I mean, really, it does take time. It does take the time. That's what I would tell younger Tiffany, is that you just got to take the time.
And how cool is it for you at this place that you're at to be proud of yourself as opposed to what Tiffany would have expected you to have been at this point?
I'm very proud of myself. I also think there's always times I could have worked harder. I think a lot of people's setbacks, and mine my own, is you stand in your own way. And I really think that I always think I could still work harder. I do. I think as artists, we have really weird routines and schedules. Like some days I have nothing to do and other days I have a ton to do. So I feel like there's always something I could be doing. And that's something that I need to work on too. But I'm very proud of how far I've come and how the patience I've learned. Because if you ask my parents, they would say like, I'm the least patient person ever. And I'm very high strung a lot of the time. And when I want it now.
Right.
So that's something that I'm really proud of myself for really sticking with this. Because in 2020, I watched a lot of people pack up and go home. And rightfully so, though. What people don't realize is what this takes in the sense of finance, like to really back yourself. An independent artist, money is a touchy subject for a lot of people, but I talk about it because I don't think anything should be off the table. Yeah. I think if this interview reaches somebody where someone hears that and they realize, okay, maybe I need to like work a little bit harder or save a little more to get out there. Because if you get out here and you realize how much it costs to get in the studio and record a song independently, it's not cheap. Yeah. Promotion isn't cheap. Getting your stuff out there. Yes, things like TikTok and Instagram has helped, but that's still throwing a dart and just hoping it sticks. Like that, you can do that all day and it could still not work. And what the world is missing out on in talent is unbelievable.
Oh my gosh.
Just because people can't financially back themselves. So that I want to make sure that everybody knows that takes a lot. And I am proud of myself in the sense that I've stuck around, but I've also been really, really blessed with the idea that I have that. Like that I have been able to back myself in that way that a lot of artists who frankly are far more talented than me couldn't do. Yeah. And that upsets me because that really deprives the world of really, 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 really good artists and really good music. So that's what I wish the music industry would change. I was asked that question the other day, is what I feel like I would want to change. And it's the idea of taking chances on people more. We don't take chances on artists anymore. It's like, how many followers do you have? How many streams do you have? Are you already a superstar and you're already selling out things? Okay, now we'll take a chance on you. Hate that. I think that's so sad because it's everybody else's loss, personally.
Now, do you think, you mentioned TikTok, do you think that TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff, do you think it's made it better, or Do you think maybe it's muddied the waters as far as fans are concerned?
Well, I'm very honest about the situation. I think at first it was a tool and it was really helpful. And now I think it's muddied the waters. I think it's like, okay, I'm going to give you a really funny, weird analogy and hopefully you understand it. Have you ever been to a Cheesecake Factory?
I have.
Okay, the menu's so big.
Oh my.
It's so big. Okay. And sometimes you're like so like confused that you don't even know what you want to order at the end of it. And you're like, what the heck? That's how I see TikTok and stuff is like, I feel like now I think it's a beautiful thing that everyone can put their stuff out there. But I also think it's a harmful thing that everybody can put their stuff out there. Like it's both. I think you have people, unfortunately, that have a less attention span these days. Like 30 seconds, I'm gone. I'm gone. And if you haven't captivated me in that amount of time, I'm over it. I'm not even going to give you a second chance because we have really destroyed people's attention spans. And now there's so much variety, there's so much content that I think it's taken people, it's made their minds explode. And it's really hard when you have so much that it's like finding Waldo in a Where's Waldo book, but like way harder. So while it was a beautiful tool and I think it still can be used as that, I really do think we have muddied the waters a bit. And I also think that cutting your teeth on the road is a lot different than sitting in your bedroom recording a video that 500 times and then you picked the best one out of 500. So say that video went viral for somebody and then a label decided to sign them because they went viral. Put them on stage. I want to see somebody do this for real. And I want not, the comfortability of your bedroom. It's a beautiful thing that people can get noticed that way, like they've never been able to do before. But where is like the steps? Where is the actual method of madness to this that I think should still be respected and looked at, which I don't think is happening nearly as much anymore.
Now you talked about the road and the live performance. I love talking to people about the live performance, and for me, I like to find out what is it, when is it before you take the stage? Is it the walk up the stage? What is it about the live performance? I think I've asked people before, is it the smell? Is it the sounds? Is it the sights? What is it that really triggers, I'm going on stage?
Well, I got to say, I am not a nervous person, but I am always nervous leading right up to it. I don't know what it is. But it's the second I give the first line of the first song, all of it sheds away. And I think the adrenaline that you're referring to, like the answer, I think to a lot of artists, but for me, it's like after the finish of the first song and having people applaud or react to it. I think that's the high that people, it's like right after that first song. And then at least that's what it is for me. And I love being able to connect with people in person. And I think country music, more than any other genre, there is something very important about live music. We are the kind of the music of the people. It's speaking to the everyday person. It's the storytelling. So if you're not out there in person connecting your music with people where you can actually physically hug, touch, talk, share those experiences, country music wouldn't be country music. I think that more so than any genre, we need in real life communication. And that's why it was so important for me to go on radio tour too. I know a lot of people now just ship their single out and just kind of hope for the best. No, I think you should literally go door to door, and I think you should go perform that single, and I think you should be on the morning shows, and I think you should talk to the radio programmers and hear what the listeners want and actually be involved, because that's what country music is. It's relationships. It's actually communicating with people. And once we lose that, we lose our genre. We lose it. And we are slowly, I don't even know what people think music is anymore. It's all like one umbrella and one genre. And while that's okay and it brings people together and it's fun for concerts, I think it really matters for country music to really get out there on the road, shake the hands, hug the people, sing these songs personally live to you, because that's how you connect. At least in country music.
Now, as we head into the summer months, the CMA Fest, the festivals and all that stuff, what's your favorite thing to look forward to every summer getting out to play?
Well, I haven't been playing that much, so hopefully this is going to be something that I get to do far more of. I haven't performed at an outdoor venue in a very long time, but I really do think there is something very special about that. And if I get to this summer, I love the happiness on people's faces. It's so different sitting like in a writer's round, right? Or somewhere inside and kind of where someone's over drinks and dinner. And you have a captivated audience, which is nice. But I think you see pure joy in the summertime of the audience. I think you see people really singing along to songs, dancing, having fun, sharing that beer or drink or whatever or with a friend. And I think there's something very special about the summer months and performing. I think that's why country music does a lot of their tours in the summer, because again, country music is about being with people and connecting. And I think that is why we do that a lot of the time. Because I have noticed our tours are very warm weather month driven versus kind of other genres who just tour all year round or whatever. But we do focus a lot on the summer months, spring and summer months. And then we record a lot in the winter and to gear up for the summer. And I think it's just genuinely, I love walking out onto a stage and looking at like the warmth of people's faces. Not, and I maybe the warmth of the weather helps the people's faces, but I genuinely think that there is a happiness in the air when it comes to the music at that time that you don't get anywhere else. Okay.
I want to make sure and let everybody know where they can keep up with everything Tiffany Woys.
Yeah, everything is basically my whole name, Tiffany Woys, Woys. I know, just boys are like boys are toys, but with a W. I always have to tell people once they get it once, they get it every time. But I'm most active on Instagram, which is just Tiffany Woys. I think that's where you find everything first is on Instagram. I have a TikTok. You can go there, but I'm not that active on there. I will try and be better about it, but I don't love the app. And then on my Facebook, everything is just my full name, Tiffany Woys. Pretty easy. No other additives to everything.
That's good. Well, Tiffany, it has been great to finally catch up face to face. I love the new music and seeing it and feeling it coming in from your heart as well. Something special in this one.
Thank you so much. I think so too. And I thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it.
And our cats did fairly okay for us today.
Okay. She moved around a bit, but we'll be okay.
That's right. Well, again, check her out on all the socials, Tiffany Woys, and hopefully we'll have you back again real soon.
I would love to. Thank you.